All right, episode 47, Teddy. We got a special interview with a one-time JonBenet suspect.
Bobby, is that you?
It's me.
I can't see. Oh my God, your voice, it sounds different with my eyes swollen shut.
Yeah, you got pink eye. He's got a pretty bad case of double pink eye.
A conjunctivitis in both my eyes.
Pretty disgusting.
It's gross.
Yeah, stop touching stuff.
It's just gross. I mean,
stop touching your eye and stop touching stuff here.
It's goopy.
Anywho, we got a special episode today. We got a big interview here with one-time Ramsey suspect JT Colfax.
How am I going to do this interview if I can't see?
Can I finish this fucking intro for him and then we'll talk about your stupid conjunctivitis?
Sure.
Jesus Christ. He was a one-time Ramsey suspect. He tried to burn down their home. He went toe-to-toe with Lou Smith. He stole JonBenet's morgue logs right out of the Boulder Community Hospital. And he was a former friend of Candy Rose. So we got a special interview with him that we're going to get into. But first, I guess, Teddy, your fucking eye.
Well, no, we can go ahead and just get started, Mr. Serious Businessman. I mean, you know, I don't want to fuck up the pace of the podcast.
Too fucking late.
I'm Teddy Ronald Reagan, this is Mechia.
And I'm Bobby Pavlovsky. And this is JonBenet Today.
I swear, Bobby, it's not from me like scratching my ass or nothing. I think it's contagious.
I think it's you not washing your hands and not wiping properly.
I lick them clean every day, Bobby. Told you.
Where's Donna at?
I don't know. I can't.
People miss Donna.
I haven't seen her in like forever.
Well, last we heard she was watching Wicked a bunch.
Well, she's still been watching Wicked. Oh, God, she loves Wicked so much. It's honestly a disease, Bobby. You know, when people talk in like sing-song ways and... You know, Donna, you know, people like Donna get inspired to believe in themselves for the first time in their lives. And I don't have the eyesight to, you know, whack her down with a little stick, you know, whenever she's getting a little, you know, uppity and hoity-toity in her britches. It's a bad combination of things.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's all fascinating stuff. We miss you, Donna. Stop touching stuff.
Can you get my eye wipes, Bobby?
No, I can't.
I need to wipe them. They're getting crusty. It's like a raccoon's asshole.
Jesus. All right. Well, we got a really long interview for you guys. Again, JT Colfax. He's a very fascinating guy. He's got a morgue log show that they're doing. You can watch it on YouTube right now. A podcast is coming soon.
What's it a show of? A morgue log? What?
Morgue logs. It'll all make sense during the interview.
Okay.
This is he's a very fascinating character and an ancillary character in this whole JonBenet saga. So you ready to get into it?
Yeah, I think so. Let me just wipe my eyes a little bit with my hands.
You're disgusting.
Yeah.
You're a disgusting human being.
Tastes bad.
Okay. Well, hey, let's get into it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are joined by a man who is hard to pinpoint. He has once terrorized a small town with his salacious letters. He stole the morgue logs from the Boulder Community Hospital and ended up in jail for trying to burn down the Ramsey home.
He sure did.
You can now watch his ongoing series, The Morgue Logs, on YouTube. It's the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. JT Colfax himself.
JT Colfax.
Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. It's getting cold here in Colorado, though.
Oh, he's still in Colorado. Well, hey, we got to ask you the question that we ask all of our guests right off the bat.
Did you do it?
What?
Did you do? You know.
No, I didn't. Of course not.
Okay.
Right.
Go on. Just
I was in Vancouver. Vancouver.
Oh, wow.
Well, he was in Canada, Bobby.
All right.
I lived in Canada, where Saskatchewan for a time. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, from what I've read about you, you seem to be somebody who doesn't really like to be pinpointed down. But, like, how would you describe yourself? Is it like a performance artist? Would you say you're a reformed criminal, or is it like a provocateur type thing?
Like a magician.
Yeah, I have a rap sheet, all right, but I wouldn't really call myself a criminal in that everything that I got busted for mostly was kind of just a kooky, wacky thing, and and maybe not that wacky because sometimes it happened out of complete stress, going homeless, and stuff like that. But singular things rather than like I was a walking crime spree shoplifter or anything like that,
Right. No, and that's not the impression I got from
harmless. He was, harmless crimes, harmless acts of provocative art. He's like Andy Warhol or something like that.
Yeah. So now JT Colfax, I know it's a pen name. Could you explain a little bit what the Colfax was named after?
Colfax is the big dirty avenue in Denver. Just it's the longest commercial street in the country. And it used to be, back when I chose that name like 25 years ago, just filled with prostitutes. Just gazongas hanging out on the street, screaming, drinking, knifings and stuff like that. And it's still very grungy.
So it's a rough street. So why did you take to that for the pen name?
Because I wanted to be a writer, and I did start writing and getting paid for it, like for newspaper articles, especially like for the gay press and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I chose that just because it's like Cher,
Yeah.
Colfax.
It is
Colfax.
I like that.
And I just had to choose something else because I intended to write really dark crime things and stuff like that. And there is a writer under my real name who had like 30 books out, and he wrote things that were made into movies like After Dark, My Sweet, and stuff like that.
It's like a whole Michael Keaton, Michael Douglas type situation.
You got to get on IMDb. You got to put your own name in there. Colfax.
So moving on to the Washington Post article that was done about you in 1995. This is a whole, year and a half-ish before the actual JonBenet murder. Can you explain how that came about? Like why do you in this whole situation where they decided to follow you in these letters and everything?
Well, they had no choice. That's the terrorism. I put the T in terrorism.
I know that's right.
Or let me just say that in 94, I had a different art project I called the Reject Project, which was like straight and simple in that I lived in a 5-story walk-up in the East Village. And one day I walk in the building and there's like this area under the stairs for trash and recycling. And I see all of these huge envelopes there, all nice and clean, but have just come in the mail. And anyway, I take the envelopes with whatever's in them upstairs because I want the big envelopes, and I'll just write over them and tape them when I mail them because I was doing all these freelance articles. But then I get upstairs and find these are all headshots of actors and actresses trying to be in a movie that somebody in the building was producing.
Oh, okay.
And I look at the dates on the envelopes, and I'm like, holy shit! I had like 26 of them. Like, these people were immediately thrown in the trash. Like, these arrived yesterday.
That was the Reject Project.
Yeah, so I hung them all up on a big, I pasted them to a big giant construction wall across from Tompkins Square Park. And I mailed, since I had all their information on, the headshots and their resumes, I wrote things about it on the front, on their pictures, and Xeroxed them, put them all over the neighborhood. I made fun of them, each and every one of them. I was very, very cruel, but I kind of was doing that in a way to really, that I thought like one of them would be able to use it.
That's true.
Or that years later, somebody's sitting on the Tonight Show and go, well, it all started with.
So did you ever hear any kickback from it, or?
No.
Because it's like the lettuce thing. I've noticed with the lettuce thing, it's like, I like this because my type of humor is doing stuff for myself. I love jokes for myself. And it seems to be like with this thing where the Washington Post covered that you were sending letters to residents of, was it Charleston?
Clarksburg, West Virginia.
Yeah, Clarksburg, West Virginia. And they were like salacious letters, but you're not seeing them open these letters. And so it's like, are these more jokes for yourself?
It's just what I wanted to do, because it didn't go good for me growing up being gay. Right. So I used to run away and hustle and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I had some anger and bitterness and all that. And so I did it this way, instead of, flouncy in your face parades or whatever. Mm-hmm. I wanted to become like a ghost in Clarksburg, and it worked. Recently, I was contacted by a very religious guy grew up there, and he was a teenager, and his buddies just laughed and laughed about these letters popping up all over town. There was a particular old man that got one, and he was mentioned in one of the articles or something, and they just laughed at it. He's the kind of guy like, don't hang in front of my store, you know? Yeah. And so they just thought it was so funny that old Mr. whatever got these letters.
I think that's a very therapeutic way about, handling your homosexuality. I mean, it's like they say, at the end of every dick is a shot of poison.
Is that what they say?
Yeah, that's what they say. I'm actually inspired to be my own pen name artist. I think I'm going to go by the name of Maurice Big Dick when I'm going to start writing books myself.
It's really subtle,
but I think it's really clever.
No, that's taken already.
Oh, damn it! No.
But let me clarify with the reject thing. That went really big. It was on the front page of New York papers, and it was in the Washington Post. And then the next year was Clarksburg. It was in papers all over the world and on the AP wires like 3 or 4 times. And then all these individual.
That's right. Okay. So that's why you're saying that he had to cover it.
Yeah, it was like Sunday issues of the Washington Post, the Philadelphia Inquirer, like over 1 million readers. And this is when papers mattered,
Yeah, it was a phenomenon.
And the reason I bring up the publicity of that is so it was like, 2 years in a row I hit that. And in fact, one time, that reject thing, Wall Street Journal called and wanted to do something else I was doing. And then they had to call me back and say they can't do it because they've done me already within 3 months.
Oh my God. Sounds like my ex.
Yeah, they had a very small, specific spot for zany news. Then otherwise it's back to the stock market. The reason I was mentioning that publicity and stuff is that obviously this takes a lot of work to write to a town every day for a year. It was in that sense a stupid thing to do because the writing is terrible and all that. But the point is, so, and then the reject thing, and on millions of other, I used to flyer all over New York. It was, I think that's my favorite thing ever. Yeah. But immediately after this Ramsey stuff, papers that had done me started calling me like so-called artist or wannabe artist, and it's like, bitch. Yeah. I was on the front like the Boulder Camera. I was on the front page of that. At the end of the Clarksburg project, I handed it over to some Eagle Scout type guy. I mean, like in his mid-20s, but still identifying as that, so that he would do a cleaner, nicer version. And I'd hoped that it would go on forever, being handed off, but it didn't. But the point is, so that means it was at the end of that year. So therefore, within 1 year, they suddenly relegated me from front page artist to so-called artist.
A so-called artist. He didn't finish his Denny's placemat.
And I could see
the fuck up.
And I could see it being something like where they're getting a lot of pushback from readers who are like, why are you giving this person a platform kind of thing? Because I saw that for like the opinion piece that people wrote in response to the Washington Post one.
Oh yeah.
So then after the whole, after the Washington Post article, how do you end up working for like the transport for the morgue?
Let's see, that as is natural in the mortuary business, it came through family in the beginning. In Los Angeles, I started. I went to San Francisco. I had a restaurant job, got fired there, and I didn't gel. I didn't like San Francisco, and I'd only been there for a month or two. So when that axe fell there, I called family that knew other family in Los Angeles, and they said, sure, we need him, come down. Yeah. And I went right to LA, and I had to live in the house. There was cars to do the first calls. That's what they call first calls. So we were a taxi company for dead bodies.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's not like I went and punched in at a mortuary and stood there all day, although later I did that in San Antonio. So it was just wait all day and then, suddenly go. Yeah. It's like being in a sense, like like the feeling of the firemen or something like that.
Right. Just getting a call and responding.
Were the corpses sexier in Los Angeles than in San Francisco? I mean, they're just very visual, image conscious.
I didn't work there in San Francisco. I worked in San Antonio and Denver later. Okay, let me just say that in LA, my first thing, I was so amazed at what I was seeing, and I was seeing some amazing things. Like I was having to, like UCLA, they had to close down their body donation program from all the disgraces that happened there.
Jesus.
But in there was a giant freezer, and all the bodies were hanging by their ears. And then they had like dry cleaning plastic over them with little scribbles written on it.
Oh my God.
Jesus. Is that the normal way to store that?
But like my partner, he would be out in the warmer, it's freezing in there, absolutely freezing. He'd be out in the warmer part, but still damn cold, filling out paperwork and all that. Because usually I did all the paperwork, but here I would always go in there. And once we dumped our cargo, as we called it, I would go in there and keep pressing the button that made them spin around like he would be like, "Will you stop that?"
It's like a ballet.
Just playing little music.
My God, if you could have a line out the door to pay for it around Halloween, you'd make a fortune.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
That during the LA period, I took photos of some of these amazing things, including those bodies on the hooks and severed heads. There was a box full of severed heads on the floor at all times because they had a deal where they sent the heads over to USC for the dental school. Oh. So I took all those pictures, but I never changed the atmosphere. I never moved anything, touched anything. I just flashed on it, any particular dead body. Might not be the one I brought, dance with the one you came with. I'd be like, no, this is a much better corpse over here. This one's turning green.
Oh my God. It's just like a morbid curiosity.
It's art.
Right, so I wanted to establish that I did that in more of a stunned, like, I cannot believe what I'm seeing. And I'd Xerox them and send them to friends and all that.
Man trying to make sense of his environment.
Yeah. Then in San Antonio, I don't remember really doing that. And I can't remember any photos from there. There may have been, I don't know. But then years went by. I went to the Army and all this. Years went by. And, I thought the whole mortuary thing was out of my life forever. Yeah. And I missed it, and I still do, I'd love to hang up on you guys and go rushing out on the first call right now. But so when I'm much older and I've already done those projects and everything that got some publicity and everything. And I'm thinking, like, here I have access to this dark, deathly world again. This is your chance. Don't blow, whatever that means. So I then started the thing of changing the nature of the pictures, as in, like, you wait all day. And in the van outside that they give you get hired, they give you the keys and you go home in a vehicle, You're in charge of this immediately, because if they don't give it to you, you're useless. And so there would always be sheets out there, extra sheets, because when you come get a body at a hospital or a nursing home, the standard policy is you take the sheet they're laying on, wrap them in that, pull it over onto your gurney, and then you throw a clean sheet down on the bed, a clean folded sheet, and there could be like a head nurse standing there to make sure you do that. And sometimes they're not. So you can build up some, because you always want more stuff in your van in case,
Got it.
But I would start painting on those, make them like those old 60s sleeping bags with like the groovy writing all over it and stuff like that. And then put them back in the van, and then, when I have a chance, throw them on a corpse and stuff like that.
Right.
And I also did signs and everything. And this is the part that, kills me in the art world, because, I didn't make the signs very good. You know what I mean? Like, I would just get a notion and then just use a black Sharpie, big Sharpie, and write things. So I wrote stuff like, getting fired isn't the end of the world. Which, you know,
is this stuff you're taking pictures of?
Yeah, so I would throw that sign on some corpse's chest and take a picture of them.
Oh my gosh.
So they were kind of like they were going to be kind of like punky little greeting cards, you know, because the dead people have that look of just like, oh, life is shit.
Right.
So it's like, I got fired.
Yeah, it could be worse.
Yeah.
And it was, of course, also a prediction that that's what was going to happen to me.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah. How sardonic.
But let me just finish on those corpse photos. So I got busted for that in Denver. I stole them from a Safeway because I had no money. I'd just come back and I just had no money at all. I was living in this rooming house. So I wasn't paying for them. And a couple of times I'd gotten away with it. And then one time they obviously were upstairs in like peepholes watching me. And I took the little packet out of the bigger thing that I filled out and stuffed that in my pocket and threw things away. And then I paid for a candy bar or something. And I knew right then already, it's like, somebody's waiting at the end of the register. And then, of course, as I walked to the door, there was another one and I got busted.
Oh my God.
And then they interviewed me up there in the grocery office, and they when they brought me out, the parking lot was just crammed with cop cars.
Just for some stealing?
Because they looked at them.
Oh, because the photos were getting developed.
Yes.
So, okay, I got you. So wait, the photo incident happened before the morgue logs?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I understand.
That's why I keep returning to that.
I understand. I get it now.
So,
me too.
So I mean, just to finish that part up is that, when I come out, if it had just been about the shoplifting, I would just have had a cop car take me away, which is still really weird for like, I don't know, $9 worth of developing, but that store was besieged with crime. So.
Interesting.
Obviously, they were working on it. But then when they see that it's all these dead bodies with signs on them, they did it. They went into this thing I call cop greed, which I'd seen it before. But
cop greed,
where they just want it so bad to be something. They don't want to like prevent a Dahmer situation. Mm-hmm. They want to be in on a Dahmer.
They want to be the one that finds it. Yeah.
Yeah, and they totally thought there might be a chance, because I remember when I did get driven away out of a parking lot full of cops, all, shading their eyes and looking in the van I drove and all that. On the way to the jail, the cop car I was riding in suddenly came to a screeching halt, and a cop going the other way parked on the other side of the street. And the cop that was with me grabbed up the photos and ran over there to show them to that cop. And that cop had nothing to do with anything about my thing. So it was like a cop buddy going like, oh, I'm not going to let you out of the loop. And
you got to see this.
Check this shit out.
That's exactly it.
Wow.
And that means it was flaring all over the cop radios. It was. And I get taken straight to homicide, where there's a big, body outline in tape on the floor and all that. It was horrifying.
Oh my God.
So then you ended up being able to get another job working for a morgue in Denver?
I did 2 jobs there. Yeah. I worked at a different place for a couple of months before that. And then I went to that place that I worked at. But never after these things, no.
Right. So how'd you get to the Boulder Community Hospital that night?
All right. So I get a call. I was talking to 2 friends of mine from New York on a 3-way thing. I had already been somewhere drinking, and then I was drinking at home. And, you're on call 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You could ask for you didn't have a scheduled day off or no, you had to ask. Mm-hmm. And one time I told that boss, there was a big family party for something. And I said I needed to go to that. And he's like, all right. But then I tell him at 9 or 10 p.m. that I'm leaving there going home. And he's like, pop by here. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So he wanted to see, because I went to a party. You guys are infectious. He just wanted to see me and see, and my family doesn't drink, so I was fine. So I get the 11 o'clock, I get the call. My friends can't, they hear my pager and I go, I got to get off of here. I got the call and they're like, what? No, really? They just were so fascinated about the mortuary business. And anyway, I drove to Boulder Community Hospital with I was picking up just a dull, desperately dull old man. Well, not that old. I think in his 50s, but nothing interesting about him whatsoever. This is like a line of demarcation I say to anybody that's getting old, as in like, if you drop dead now, you're not interesting. You know what I mean? If you drop dead when you're 16, I'm going to ask, like, what happened to this person?
Yeah, right.
But if you're 50 and fat, I'm like,
makes sense.
I'm not going to ask no doctor, no nurse, because they're not interesting. But so I get up there and I have the mortuary crisis of, it's not a real crisis, but everybody that does first calls hates this. So you get there, I get there and got the body all, ready to go and everything. Security's down here with me to help me sign that logbook over there. And, which I wasn't thinking anything about. It's just always ordinary. Everywhere you go, sign it out. Now everything, but the watches and the rings, it's everything you take with you, you sign on and all that. You call like a gold ring, you call it one ring yellow in color.
Interesting.
To avoid any, gold. But so the point is, it's all normal as can be. And I got the body, I'm rolling over to the podium, and then he's going to open the door for me. I'm going to roll out and take it wherever it was supposed to go, and I'll be done. I'll go back home. Yeah. But no, just as I'm signing the thing, a knock comes at the door, and I'm like, oh, shit. And sure enough, the security guard opens it, and it's the guy from Lyons. Lyons is a little city up in Boulder area. Mm-hmm. It's the guy from Lyons Eye Bank. And he, like as cards go, he trumps me. You know what I mean? So I have to, I'm, practically like sighing with disgust, like, roll the body back over to the autopsy table and slam him back on.
Now you're going to have to wait for this guy. Okay.
Yeah, and it takes 45 minutes to 2 hours, for some people. So I went, if I left the morgue room, I would be locked out. So I put, I rolled up a magazine or something. Mm-hmm. And then I just went walking around, and the lights weren't on or anything. There's always some auxiliary light from like the exit signs or something. Mm-hmm. Roaming. And it takes me about half an hour before it occurs to me, like, wait a minute. This is where that JonBenet came from.
Right. Oh my God.
Like, they always wanted to go like obsessed and all that, but I don't know whether they had cameras or not, but it's like, look, it takes me that long to figure it. However, once I do realize that, my little clickety-clackety business shoes went right back to the morgue, take the magazine down, get in, and I go, let's see, Christmas. Put the pages back to there. And it's almost like a big surprise when I see JonBenet Ramsey and, logged in, what day, what time. Then the facing page has where she went. She went to Christ Mortuary in Boulder. I'd been there in the course of business too. Right.
Yeah, Christ Mortuary.
And then there's 3 autopsy tables, but there's no door. There's a big door, like a double, what would be like a room for a double door, or a little more even, in fact. And there's no way to close anything. There is no door. So, and he's at the most inconvenient one for this operation, soldering away at those eyes. And when I keep trying to look at him and make sure like he has his back to me, because sometimes he doesn't, he's on the other side.
Right.
So, and I tried to take pictures of them with a cardboard camera, as was what I always did because it's easy to conceal.
Okay.
So I take the pictures, and I, of course, in those days, it was a cardboard camera. You can't look and see how they came out, but I know they suck. So then it occurs to me, and I just reach up. It's a great big book, you know, like a big Bible or something. And so I just grab the part where they both come to the binding and just slowly go inch by inch, you know, being very quiet. And then just put them in my pocket, and a whole new world.
JT, you're crazy. I love it.
Oh my Lord!
And so, did they say anything of note, like the logs?
No, not really. You know what I mean? It was nothing. Nothing that everybody didn't know at that. You know, I mean, like her age, her birthday, or something. Just, you know, when she was logged in and when she was logged out and where she went.
So then, so after that, are you still facing those other charges at that time?
Yeah. But on that too, I should say that I feel like the most remarkable thing about those morgue logs was, that, you know, they're just lines, you know, on facing lines, as in the left side is all logging into the morgue, and the right side is disposition of where it went. And there must have been, I don't know, 30 other people. So that to me was the part where it's just like, you know, 40,000 men and women every day, you know, as in her name was just another one, you know. Very, very small writing and everything.
What was your original intention? Like what were you going to do with them?
I don't, you know, profit, I suppose.
I bet there's a really big black market for, you know, for the names of, you know, dead little girls like that. I would have spent like, I don't know, $100.
So how do we get from then there to you standing outside the Ramsey home that one night where you decide that you're going to attempt to burn it down? And this is in 1997.
All right, so the first I get busted for the corpse photos, and that's all over town. Like, you know, the media had a field day with it. If you remember that guy, radio syndicated guy named Paul Harvey that did the little shorts, and he's like, and that's the way it was.
Oh yeah, Paul Harvey.
Yeah, it was on there.
Oh wow.
Oh my gosh.
All of this. So there was all that. You know, it had legs for a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was on Inside Edition and stuff.
Oh my fucking God. I love it.
And then, so like Westword does a piece on you. And at this point, were they the first people to know that you had the morgue logs, or how did it come out that you had them?
Well, there's the interesting part about that. Okay, so, and that's what I was saying about the publicity about the corpse photos. So I'm already like a giant freak out there, and I'm busted for it, and I've got charges in all these counties and municipalities. And then my roommate, who was like this weird bodybuilding Mormon,
Bodybuilding Mormon.
But he was a weirdo with the subject of gays, and he didn't know that I was or anything. You know, we would walk to the liquor store and things like that, and he would point out, like, in the neighborhood, even though it's not like a gay liquor store, but they would have the newspaper thing with the gay newspaper and and Westword and other papers. And he would be pointing him out, grab one of those. And we'd go home and dissect how sick and horrible the gays are.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, butthole envy.
Meanwhile, I'm like, why don't you take your shirt off?
Right? Yeah. You want to wrestle?
Oh, we did. We used his archery bow in the backyard, shooting the fence. Those are really hard to do.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So we did boy stuff.
You did boy stuff. Do you think maybe he was closeted? Do you think maybe he was closeted?
Oh, of course he was. I've never. I'm literally saying that the man couldn't go 15 minutes without saying something about gays.
He wanted a tongue in his rectum.
The thing about why I mentioned him was, well, for two reasons. One, his family came over and had a very innocent birthday party. I had to leave on a call. But there was those, his mother handed me one of those party blower things. Mm-hmm. And I just, politely put it in, kept it and put it in my pocket because, what do you want to do? Just throw it on the ground? Yeah, thanks, just out of politeness. So therefore, I happen to have that. I didn't go get one or plan on it, but I did stick that in the corpse's mouth.
Take a picture of it.
JT.
And
Oh my God.
That was a really creepy moment because I put it in and I get ready, step back to take the picture, and it just goes.
Oh my
out.
God. Like it actually.
And I'm like,
oh.
and I do it again, and it does it again, and I'm like, oh, her jaw's wired shut. Damn it!
Oh my
but I
gosh.
eventually got it in there. But the reason I bring up him in the first place was that so I'd already had all of these cases and everything. I still had them at the time, to solve. It's a huge, and I'd have no job. It's horrible, and then he decides to snitch on me about the morgue logs.
Oh, what a shit.
I would, yeah. And people did love to, they cut down on the art, made it more like attention seeker. When it's like, I would not have thrown myself on the fires of that at that time in my life,
Yeah,
Right,
that makes sense.
He caused me massive damage, and when people like to say I injected myself into the case. No, I got injected by a bodybuilding Mormon.
Who love reading gay magazines from liquor stores.
So the Westword article, I want to get to. We had your bodybuilding Mormon friend sold you out, and then how did the Westword article come about?
I think I just walked over there and talked to her. I talked to her through the window of her office. I'd been in Westward 1,000 times for art projects.
Oh, okay.
She knew me very well.
And then so they do that article about you. Were you facing any charges for the morgue logs thing at that current point?
No. I mean, well, so the corpse thing was all one big explosion.
Right.
And I had taken the morgue logs during that period, but nobody knew it. So that's why I bring up the gay bodybuilding Mormon who decided that to add to my troubles to throw that in. So that made me a weirdo with corpses flung into the Ramsey case.
So then how do you end up outside the home to, because it seems like this was like a month after the Westward article, it looks like, is when you were arrested for trying to burn the house down. What was the mindset there? What was going on?
That is the exact minute I ran out of money.
Gotcha.
I was staying at the YMCA, and I just couldn't pay anymore. So I think I had about $10 when I come and sit outside the YMCA and wonder, what am I going to do now? And I think I took a newspaper out of the trash and saw that the Ramsey detectives were going to do a final sweep of the house that weekend.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what day I did this on, but it must have been a weekday. And I decided, I just wanted to go to jail and get my problems over in an easy way. And I was also, I hate talking about being depressed I'm too old to, people understand it now more, You have coworkers. I don't work anymore, but a few years ago, all these young people that, depressed and all that. And it's like, yeah, but I'm 60. Why am I mopping the floor?
Right.
And people bandy it around. So it makes me embarrassed to say that. But obviously, what else could, the other reason people like to put is attention seeking. But it means, to me, it's like all those 2 years of pronging the national media.
Yeah, you've already had the attention.
With that it would be the ruination of it.
Right.
Now I've become a quiet hermit the rest of my life. And, so I'm going to hear these complaints now that we're doing the channel with my producer, Matt, called The Morgue Logs. And already we're getting some. But anyway, so to get to the Ramsey house, I have $10. It costs like $2.50 to get to Boulder. I do that. I have a beer or something, and I meet this Manson type woman, one of those crusty street girls.
Right.
And I just tell her flat out. Somehow we're starting to talk, and then I just tell her, like I'm a robot at this point. You know what I mean? Like, I am so depressed, and I have this ridiculous idea on my mind. But I should also point out that I knew when I got busted for the morgue logs, I went into the Boulder jail, but I barely made my bed when I got the call, roll up, and I got bailed out live on the radio from a host called Jay Marvin. And so I'd seen the jail, and I'd been in other jails. I've been in the LA County jail, and Atlanta, which is just hideous. So that was part of the reasoning too, is like, I'm going to jail sooner or later on all these charges. And I have no money, no nothing. How am I going to even get to these courts and all that?
Right.
So that's why I did it. Massive depression, plus also like, why don't you drive me there?
Right. And it kind of, I think it takes the attention away probably from the other charges as well too, though, right? Because you don't really,
because it makes them like mad.
Oh, okay, it makes it worse. So what detectives like? So you called yourself in. Who shows up for that?
So I sat there all night and then finally did it. But then I left, and I kept looking back, and there wasn't the fence or anything at the time. So I left, diagonally across the yard, and I kept looking back in case I would see flames or anything, but. I was pretty sure that nothing happened really, but I didn't know, so truly I always try to like prong it down to like, it wasn't all that much.
Right.
But then radio host Peter Boyles got a hold of the pictures, and he like really slammed me for that.
I saw those pictures. I mean, it doesn't really look that bad.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, what if like curtains were hanging there or something like that?
Uh-huh. And now, so did Steve Thomas? Was it true that he was called there that morning as well?
Yes. And also, of course, they came to the YMCA to get me for the morgue logs.
Oh, was this the same?
Yeah, and I have no phone, no nothing. So that's again my former roommate telling them where I am.
Oh, Jesus. So that's the thing. So like the scene, like they show up and they investigate it. You get booked into jail, I'm assuming. When did you meet Lou Smith?
Now that I'd been in jail for a long, long time, and I met Lou Smith twice, and it was all around surrounding my plea deal, which was like 7 or 9 months into being in jail. Mm-hmm. When I actually did plead guilty. It was a long, interesting hammering out. I was really quite brave on insisting on things on that. So,
yeah, 2 years is that's a long time.
Yeah, but I told my lousy lawyer, like, look, if they're going to cut, the range could have been like 8 to 16 years in prison.
Jesus.
So I told my lawyer, like, if they insist on any kind of prison at all, I'm going to consider it hopeless and take it to trial, and I'm going to subpoena John and Patsy Ramsey. And he looked at me like,
oh, geez.
Because he knows I could do it.
Right.
They are the victims.
So what did they talk you into, like doing a plea deal or what?
Well, he went back to some hidden room where they probably can see me anyway. Mm-hmm. Fucking lawyer. I swear to God, he worked for them.
Right.
But he came back and went, I think they're buying it. And that's what we did. We did 2 years. And then another big insistence thing was that like the corpses, everything that I'd had got probation on, even though I'm in jail. Mm-hmm. And so that everything that my probation ran while I was in jail. So when I finally did get out, I only had like 3-4 months of probation left.
Nice. And I heard, so while I saw the account of when you worked in the kitchen jail, you baked a cake and that you wrote in frosting on it, Patsy did it.
Yes. I ended up off the kitchen crew and buffing a hallway, a white hallway that was like something out of 2001 Space Odyssey.
Oh my gosh.
Just all day, all by myself. Nobody in there. Occasionally a guard comes through to get from one door to another, but it's like 100 feet long.
Was that just because you baked the cake?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, all these things. I did all kinds of things.
Yeah, I saw that you were writing letters in prison that were, detailing that life, and along with Ramsey stuff that they were posting to the Boulder News Forum. You also met some interesting people in there, I guess, in regards to, can you talk a little bit about this, like the rock star and the party that was supposedly going on the night of JonBenet's murder?
Yeah, the rock star was Al Laughlin from the band The Samples. Mm-hmm. That once they were big enough to sell out Red Rocks, which
hell yeah,
which seats 9,000 people.
I love Red Rocks. I've always wanted to go. I haven't been, but
it's fantastic. But he stole all the band's equipment and sold it for heroin money. Oh, so that's why he was in there. And he told me about a party that happened right down the street or around the corner from the Ramseys' house. All this big raging party, and he's telling me, just me, talking. And then 2 other times during our stay, or, he ended up leaving and I'm staying there, but somebody else comes in the pod who he knows, and they end up sitting with us and pick right up with every little detail about it. So I know that it's not, some people, because I wrote about this stuff online and everything, some people would try to fill me with bullshit, inmates do that,
right.
But these people would pick right up with, there's party at MJ's house and all
separate
this.
People all knew about the same party.
Yeah. And they came out in the morning and saw the crime, the police and crime tape and all that. And, they've been drugged up all night long. They still got drugs on them. They're like, it's not what you want to see when you come out of your party at 6 a.m.
Now, was this whole Pam Paw saga where your former partner that was involved with, like, the website stuff, I guess supposedly called and recorded Pam Paw, was that during your time in prison?
Yeah, in jail. And he had been there, and then he got out. He and I used to work on a work program in there there's a product called Cowgirl, like cosmetics, like lip gloss and things like that. Mm-hmm. And we had a job, and they would bring the product in, and we would put the actual logo stickers on the bottles.
Okay.
About 8 of us at a table. And I used to write shit like Patsy did it on the label, so that when a woman would use that down, I was always hoping that she would then be able to see, like, there's something on there. And then,
right.
But then he got out and he started I would write to him every day and put the letters up. So, and there was a clearinghouse called Mrs. Brady's Earls, which was massively important in the beginning through all the formative years of the case, the first 5. And so she would plug these every day, and the Ramsey detectives were reading it. All kinds of people were reading it. And what was the point?
Pam Paw.
Oh, Pam Paw. Then, see, he went too far. He was constantly contacting people in my name and everything, and it was awful.
And
but,
so he recorded her, Pam Paw?
Yeah.
And in the recording, supposedly, I guess it's kind of suggests where she wants him and you to go to the governor with some of these inmates that you guys have met as suspects. Is that correct?
Yeah. Do you want to hear about a couple of those?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. One was just a nut that I met in jail. I hung out with him a lot, named Nick Lowe. And he liked to be, I guess that paper labeled him the Boulder burglar, and he loved that. He had 86 counts of burglary. And I started this weird campaign of writing. You had a free letter a day, writing to all kinds of places around Boulder or Colorado and just saying weird things. Mm. And he took up on copying me on that. And I hated it. And I didn't know what he was saying, but that brought Detective Gossage to the jail, and he took his hair, saliva, and handwriting. So when you hear that number of I think 200 people that have done that, he's another one, and that's...
Right, and they try to make it seem like the police didn't check out other suspects.
Well, and another weird thing was that his mother... Well, see, he was from Westminster, so was I. And his mother lived on Victoria Island...
Okay.
Yeah, Vancouver, and I was in Vancouver at the time, so I guess they had to do it. But But then the far more important one was a guy named Dean. I'll just leave it at that for him because I say Nick Lowe because, he loved trying to make noise out of being the Boulder burglar. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
But this Dean guy, I flung him into the case so hard, and it was bad. I felt bad.
Oh.
But he was like walking by, when he first got there, walking by a table and hearing me and Lance and others talking about the Ramsey case. And he just joined us. Like, you guys talking about that Ramsey thing? And, which would happen a lot in the Boulder. And he was like, I've been in that house. And I'm like, oh, sit down.
Right.
And his story was that he and his crew they did marble countertops and things like that in the kitchen around Thanksgiving, which is not that far from Christmas. Mm-hmm. So that's when I had the ability to write those letters and get online. And sometimes those letters, like the hits on it would be like 3,500 people on it. So,
well, yeah, I mean, it was web sleuth, and people, that was like the birth of it. People were looking for any information they could find. So when you get out, I saw that you mentioned that they supposedly lost your stuff. So you didn't actually get any of your belongings back?
Yeah. I think because I had a bottle of embalming fluid in there.
Oh, Jesus.
JT.
They marked it hazardous or something and just burned the whole thing.
So when you get out, there's this 1,000 pasta march that goes from Pasta J's, I guess, to the Boulder County Justice Center.
Yeah.
Now, was that something that was organized online?
Yeah. Lance Matthews organized that. And I hated that stupid... I like to do zany little weird media things, but 1,000 noodle march?
Right. And I like, because I saw in the Peter Boyle interview where he's talking about, I like that Peter Boyle calls him Pasta Boy when he's talking about Jay. You guys mentioned in that interview with Peter Boyle that Pasta Jay had gotten off so many times. What does that mean?
Yeah, it is weird, too. I mean,
what did he have, some like criminal charges or something?
Oh, yeah. He hit somebody with a baseball bat. He got caught drunk driving.
Oh, my God.
Oh, Pasta J. Olowski. Okay, this is something I didn't know. So I want to also bring up, then you got out, and then in this interview, too, with Peter Boyles, I saw that we're like where the morgue logs are now. The last we had heard, supposedly, I guess it got sent to this place called Dad's Coffee Shop in Denver by accident.
That's a red herring.
Oh, okay. All right.
Red herring.
Is this stuff more you guys are going to be exploring on your morgue logs channel?
Oh, well, I don't need to explore that. Those are my 501c3. The 501k.
Oh.
401k. That's his 401k. Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, interesting indeed.
Okay. All right.
I held on to every scrap of paper. I got, when, you start going to, right from the plea bargain, and then when you get out and start having to go to probation, and I started, the first place I had to go was the Boulder probation office, and then I moved to Denver. I lived in Denver, so I had to have it transferred down there, the probation, and in all these cases, I get a new copy of a restraining order, restraining me from John Ramsey, Patsy Ramsey, and 755 15th Street, which was the address at the time. Mm-hmm. For some weird reason, they changed the address.
Yeah, it doesn't deter people because you can still find it just by looking up the old one. And then, so when you get out, when did you meet a Candy Rose? By the way, we're big fans of her. We did a whole episode on her.
Oh, she was a great lady. I met her. I went and saw her twice in Ohio, and let's see. When I first got out, I went into some like IRC chat or something.
Oh yeah.
With her and a bunch of others, and I guess we talked on the phone some. But anyway, by then I was certainly able to email and things like that now. And then I went out there, and her house was like a shack, but a tall thing that like might have been like a old time hotel or something, like really old time, like falling down now. And then she had a couple of rooms in it, and it was so dark, like you almost want to say the electricity's off, except for the computers were playing.
Right.
And this is a good one. This was a thing I was sworn never to tell, but it was for her, and she's dead. So
Right. God
I
rest
can
his soul.
tell you is that so like saying it's a shambles everywhere. There's like an old fashioned coffee pot like you boil in a Western movie.
Yeah.
All that shit, everything is just old as fuck, and she's like 400 pounds. You could just tell she's not long for the room.
Right.
Well, anyway, there's these two enormous brand new computers in there with great big monitors. And I'm like, how the hell do you have that when everything else is like this? And she was like, you can't tell anybody. But Detective Thomas bought them.
Steve Thomas bought the computers for her. Wow.
Wow.
That's why it had to be secret, because at that time, if you'd have the Ramseys would have, and lawyers would have loved to know, like that the detectives were really following all the crazy online ladies with Jameson and what.
Oh yeah, Jameson.
Yeah, which we've dealt with her before too. So wait, was it during like his lawsuit time around the time that he got to the computers? Or do you think when he was still a
he was
detective?
inactive. Well, let's see. She told me this. He was already gone in lawsuit time because I was out. But he bought them for her when he was an active detective, and it may have been Gossage too. I just sometimes can't remember things over all these years.
Right. So what have you been up to since the release? What's life for JT Colfax like now?
What's JT up to?
I'm really nothing. I've just laid down and been a hermit the rest of my life.
I saw you apologize to John at CrimeCon, right?
Oh, there's a good one. No, I did not.
You didn't apologize? Did you just? Oh, you just told him that you were the one?
Yeah, and I've got to say, I was like really meek and like autistically hitting the back of my head, and it's really hard to tell somebody like, do you remember that fire at your house? Well,
Right.
I'm the one that did, So I had to really grease my way up to it. I was almost afraid I was going to abort and not say it. Instead, just be the guy that asked him like ahead, like, do you think you ever saw it?
Yeah, that
When I
bullshit.
did that, I
Yeah.
felt like, oh my God, you're retarded. How many times do you think he's been asked that?
What do you think?
But
Gonna give you a different answer?
I needed an icebreaker.
Right. That's a hell of an icebreaker. Hey, I tried to burn down your home. How did he respond?
No, I mean, the icebreaker was asking him, do you think they'll ever solve it?
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, got you.
Solve it. And in his polished response, he mentioned Lou Smith. And I went, oh yeah, I've met Lou Smith. And his eyes went flash.
Yeah.
You met Lou Smith? Which a lot of people do that. But, then I told him, and I was very contrite and everything. And I did say, like, I want you to know that it really wasn't so much about you as it was just the endless cop activity I had going on.
Right.
Because during all that corpses and everything, cops would come over, throw my mattress on the floor and look under there. And, it was like they had no right, you know what I mean? They had no reason, and they'd be from other jurisdictions that had nothing to do with it. So that also helps explain the pressure that made me do this.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we also got your producer on, Matthew Zaccarino of the morgue logs. Matthew, do you want to come on here? We talk a little bit about how you met JT and what you guys are going to be doing with this.
Hi, Matthew Zaccarino.
Hey guys, thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.
Both you, Bobby, Teddy. So me and JT sort of were involved in the same online community for the last year or two. And, I think he's a very, very fascinating person, and he's very smart.
He is very smart.
He's very, very, very funny, has a good sense of humor. But, given the circumstances in his life, people trash him, he had a very difficult childhood. And, I just see how smart someone can be, but how society can beat somebody down so much that, I was excited to become a friend of his. And, we kind of came about this idea of starting a show because, he's very interested in, probably based upon his experience with the Ramsey case, but, law and true crime and, He's really one of the only people that can now talk about what it was like to be a suspect. I mean, with a number of the suspects, dying or still being incarcerated.
Right. Absolutely.
And he's been out prominent with the experience that, basically this, this little girl tragically died, likely because her family killed her, and yet it overturned so many other people's lives. It literally
the ripple
caused
effect. Yeah.
Was tremendous. And then you have the whole Ramsey machine of people making money and grifting off of it. So the detectives, the media, people that true crime enthusiasts that need there to be a intruder. And, JT from the start from inside the jail, you saw the jail even protecting the Ramseys when he baked the cake that said Patsy did it. And they put him on the mop duty instead of the bakery because there's this, he's one to speak his mind. And that's what's so great with JT is our host for this show. It's going to be JT speaking his mind about historical true crime cases. He loves to do research. So, we've looked up, we've got Alfred Packer's story. We've got the assassination of Senator Ed Carmack, a Tennessee senator who was assassinated by a one-time sort of colleague and killed him in the middle of Nashville. And we've got just a number of other good stories that are coming up that sort of meet JT's interest in true crime and putting it out for mass consumption. So
where can everybody find that?
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be.
So we're going to start. So we just basically started, we filmed a lot over the last year. We've gone to a number of memorial sites. So including the Columbine shooting, we'll probably be doing an episode on that. You can go to the Morgue Logs on YouTube at the Morgue Logs, same the Morgue Logs to find it. And we're going to probably be putting some things up on a podcast, if we can Spotify or something like that in the future. But,
awesome.
We're sort of learning. My career is not social media or on, internet culture. One of my first was with where I found, me and JT met. And so we're, I just think that, the way he speaks his mind is his sense of humor, as well as, I sort of have a business background, sort of matching that to see if we can create something that people want to listen to. Yeah. And in that, we really, JT's listened to both of you for a long time. And as part of my Ramsey research, he had me listen to a lot of your episodes, and I enjoy your show. You guys got great rapport, and you guys both have a sense of humor too.
Thank you so much.
You like us? You really like us a lot?
Well, no, I like that you trash Netflix. Actually, that was such a bullshit. That was such a bullshit. And you guys, being from where you're from, you don't like to bullshit, right? You call it out too. You're full of bullshit, but you call out bullshit, right? That's the Boston way.
As far as I can tell, from what I have heard of you guys, you vote the same all the way down the same line as I do. Ramseys did it. Jameson's insane. All of these things.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you guys again so much for coming on.
It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure, and I can't wait to check out your podcast. And JT, you've been absolutely fascinating and quite a gentleman.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back on too.
All right, thank you. Bye.
You guys have a great day. Season. Bye. Bye.
That was really good. That was fascinating.
God.
That was really fascinating.
He's quite a character. He's very smart, very intelligent man. Does have a very interesting life. Matthew Zacharymov, he's pretty cool too.
Zacharino. Yeah.
Zacharino.
Yeah. So definitely check out the Morgue Logs, guys. We're going to have the link for all of that below, and some links regarding JT Colfax himself, where you can see pictures of the home and stuff like that after the fire.
It's important because he was, in the orbit of all this case, and at the time, and it's like, and it's important for there to be a record that be kept, so that when people are doing the research and everything, that they know, they can look and see, oh wow, like here's this testimony from JT Colfax, and and he has a fascinating life,
So hey, we're getting to our year anniversary mark. And I just want to let you guys know what we got coming up is what's going to be some episodes that we're going to be doing.
Oh, what are we doing? Bobby?
Well, we obviously got the Christmas party one.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
going to be
right.
a big one.
It's coming up.
I'd like to take another look at Don Pa specifically.
Oh, really?
And then Teddy, I've got something that's been eating at me, but it's an intruder did it sort of
What?
adjacent theory.
But you, Bobby?
It's the only one that makes sense to me that I've been researching, and I can't wait to share with you guys.
Oh my God!
You won't be disappointed though. So trust Josh.
I mean, maybe a little bit. You got to couch it like 5%. Might be disappointed, Bobby. Let's be realistic.
I mean, yeah, you'll be disappointed, but we'll see. Okay,
Most of you will probably not. But
I'm excited to share with you guys. We're going to be having that coming up on an upcoming episode. So,
I can't see Bobby.
Right. Follow us on Patreon at patreon.com/JonBenet today.
Yeah, support us.
Subscribe to us here on YouTube. Like the podcast on Apple Podcasts. Review it, please.
Bobby, your dog's licking my eyeball.
Oh, no. Don't look at that. Okay,
Oh
we got to
my
go.
God.
All right. Well, hey, I'm Bobby Pavlovsky.
I'm Teddy Raw Rain, this Smeggy.
And this is JonBenet Today.
I mean, it's like they say, at the end of every dick is a shot of poison.